Homovision.
Back to the Future is a single I've done with Pagano, who's a DJ, producer, superstar. And it's a comment on clubland and the different generations who hit clubland, and that's kind of what it's about.
People talk to me about the old days. They say they want to go back.
I mean, it's kind of inspired by two things. There was a record that I used to play a few years ago called Do You Remember House? And it would it was like a deep, dark voice going, do you remember house before techno? Do you remember house before the super clubs? So it's a parody of that, but looking at the different styles of clubbing and the different cliques that you have in clubbing. Because in the full vocal version, I talk about the drag queens come to me and they moan about how people don't dress up to go to clubs anymore, and the ravers come to me and they complain that people used to hug in clubs and everyone was on E and on smiley faces. So every generation has its kind of, they have their drugs and they have the way they party, and then the next generation comes along and they think they've got it wrong.
I want to go back to when trannies were ruling. When heels and lipstick meant something. Disco. I want disco. When people dressed up to go out.
For me, when I came out, it was the emergence of acid house. And prior to that, it'd been high energy. And I hated high energy. I hated that sound. And I hated all the people that were associated. Well, I didn't hate them, but I thought they were, it's a strong word, but I thought they were naff. It was like the old clones of Earl's Court, with their tashes and their leather jackets and the Colhern. That seemed really, really dated because we were wearing smiley faces on our T-shirts and listening to acid house and doing ecstasy, and they were drinking gin and tonic and sniffing poppers, and we just thought that was incredibly naff. And I think there's a similar thing happening now in that there's all the kind of like older men in their like 30s, 40s who went to Trade and FF and all those clubs in the early 90s, and are now looking at the kids in the clubs and saying, well, it was better in our day and the drugs are better in our day, and they're taking GHB and they're taking all these drugs and we didn't do that. And it's just, and basically I think what happens is clubbing is fun when you're young. When I don't think it was anything, though I had a great time in 88 and 89, and I do think the music and the clubs and everything was good then. The fact is I was 19. Everything's fun when you're 19. And if 20 years later you're still going clubbing, well, surprise, you're going to be a bit jaded and look back on when you were having fun. But I don't think it's because the music or the drugs or anything was better. I just think you're young and it's new.
So basically trying to tell people to wake up and just get over it and move on, really.
I am. So that's I guess the chorus is we can stand still or we can go forward. That's the idea of the record.
And what do you think of London Clubland now with the gays?
Well, I mean, one of the things I say in the record is oxygen drips and stretchers are not disco accessories, and that's kind of a strange thing, because when I first started clubbing, there were medics about, but not like 6 medics to every club, and a special room to put people in. So that's kind of shocking, I guess. I mean, I can't morally judge people because that's what people choose to do, but that shows an evolution in clubland. And one of the other lines in the record is taking a syringe and a stop clock to the dance floor. Honey, that's hard work. That's the line I say in there, and drugs are supposed to be fun. That's what I say, and it's all kind of ironic. But to go out and have a stopwatch with you because you want to time your GHB, the last time you had a GHB dose, and then having a syringe so you take the right kind of dose. And all of that, it just seems very complicated to me. It's kind of like the idea was to go out and, dance your cares away, and to be looking at a clock and looking at measurements. That seems a bit strange to me, but that's the younger generation, If that's their thing, then that's their thing. But, and it's at that point you think, well, maybe I'm too old for this.
Do you not think it's a bit fucked up though that people actually, you know, the whole G situation and, you know, people passing out in nightclubs? Do you not think that's a bit, you know, messed up?
I think it's really, really fucked up. For me, you know, I like a drink, you know, and I like to be able to be free. And I think, you know, the line between dose and overdose is very, very small. No matter how controlling you are with your clocks and your stopwatches and your syringes, the curse will get you too. You will go down at some point because you just can't. It's an unknown quantity. And I think it's a little bit selfish to inflict. I mean, that's my problem with it. I think it's selfish to inflict on your friends and strangers in a club. By all means, if you want to glug at it while at an orgy at home, fine, because you're not really causing any harm to anyone but yourself. But you know, it can shut down clubs, and when your friend collapses on it, it's really frightening to watch. And then when they come round, they're like, okay, where's the dance floor, where's the bar? They have no memory of it, and it seems, and you've just spent hours nursing them, quite stressed they're going to die or go to hospital. So having medics in clubs and things, I mean, it's not something that's talked about, you know, and not like making some crappy dance record is going to change the world, or make anyone change their behaviour or anything, but it's something that people don't talk about, and I think it's quite funny to hear something like that being played in a club where people are doing that. For me, that's hilarious. And that, you know, there are people falling out on G while dancing to a record that's kind of commenting about how sad it is that we've come to that. To me, that's kind of like beautifully ironic and weird and fabulous.
Homovision.